on to ST 44.9 Icchā naṅgala Sutta, that is called Icchā naṅgala Samyutta S 54.11. This is a very special sutta, a very valuable document if we are practicing Buddhists, because this sutta records the Buddha's own personal meditation, his own practice of the breath meditation. This sutta records how the Buddha spends 3 months rains retreat, solitary retreat, all by himself, and he does this meditation, and he is telling us the significance of such a practice. Before we go into the sutta, there are some interesting historical details which we should note. First of all, this place is called Icchā naṅgala. It is a place near Icchā in Kosala country. We're not sure exactly when this rains retreat was taken by the Buddha. It is certainly not in the first 10 years, because there's no record of this. The only solitary rains retreat in the first 10 years was recorded to have taken place after the Kosambi incident, and it was in the 10th year. If you remember the famous story of the Buddha spending 3 months solitary retreat in the Parileya forest. So it's likely that this the timing of this sutta is during the second period. The first 20 years we have all those the commentaries listed at different places. The last 25 years it generally says that he usually spends his retreat in Savanti. But it is possible that he spent one of the retreat by himself in the forest in Icchā naṅgala or somewhere nearby. And if you look at this sutta, it's very simple. Structure is not sophisticated. The teaching is very important, very deep. With such clues, it is possible that this sutta was taught quite early. But since we have no record of the retreat during the first 10 years, it's probably during the second 20 years. And because of its simplicity, we can say that it's probably taught during the first half of the second period. In other words, the third decade of the Buddha's public ministry. So, in this sutta also, we see how the Buddha practices the breath meditation, and the slight variation from the teaching or the method given in the Anapanasati Sutta. There's a diagram here on page 95 of my book. Diagram of table 3.2. You can see all the 16 steps there. And this is a useful guide for us to understand how breath meditation is used to attain dhyana. Now we must remember that Anapanasati, breath meditation, is one of the body-based meditation of the Satipatthana system. In other words, the first part of the 4 Anupassana, the 4 contemplations, the body-based contemplation. So the breath is one of them. And here we notice, there are 16 states stated. The first 12 stages or first 12 aspects of the breath meditation is prepare us getting into jhana. So the first the first 4 stages or 4 aspects of breath meditation is called, or together they are called, contemplation of the body. And this is found in section 5 of this sutta. So step 1 is experiencing long breath. Step 2, experiencing short breath. Step 3, experiencing the whole breath, the whole body of breath. And then step 4, calming the breath. So this is to do with the body, basically watching the body. Of course, in our actual practice, we simply watch the breath coming in, going out. Just be mindful of the breath. If it's a long breath, you know it's a long breath. It's a short breath, you know it's a short breath. So you don't have to follow the exact sequence here, but it gives you an idea when to let go of certain steps, and in other words, becoming more focused. So here is simply, basically watching the whole breath just as it is, until you feel the whole breath very peaceful and you feel peaceful too. Then you put joy arises, okay? So that's step 5, joy or piti, zest or piti. And then there is happiness, sukha. And then step 7, experiencing mental formation. In other words, you see the breath as more subtle, as a kind of a feeling rather, okay? And then by that time the joy, the zest and the happiness, piti and sukha become more calm. Okay? So this is the 8th stage. So this is the section on feelings, because at this stage we begin to feel all these wonderful, blissful states. And then after that you have contemplation of the mind. Whatever thoughts arise, you watch them. This is step 9. Whatever mental states are quite subtle at that time. And by this time, you begin to see the nimitta, or the meditation sign. So that will make your mind very happy. This is called the stage of gladdening the mind. Okay? Of course, at any stage, if you want to enhance the stage, prevent distraction, gently smile. And the nimitta, smile at the peace. Then step 11, concentrating or stilling the mind. In other words, how do we hold the nimitta, this peaceful sign, this bright sign, by not saying anything, in fact, just watching it peacefully. Whenever we notice we are going to be distracted, then just smile at it, gently smile at it, or if necessary, just gently whisper, peaceful, peaceful, and keeping your focus in the center of the brightness. And then stage 12, the mind is totally free from the hindrances. That's the time when the mind enters dhyana. So that's this wonderful moment, okay? And then you come out of dhyana. And then that's when you start contemplating on the dharmas, okay? So when you come out of your jhana, of course you'll be very peaceful, mind so beautifully clear. At first you don't feel like saying anything, so you just kind of just sit there and be peaceful, letting your thoughts come back, your senses start working again. And then you go into the contemplation of dharmas, the 4 steps to take after emerging from dhyana. So this is step 13, contemplating on impermanence, how even this calmness that we have cultivated, it is mind-made, so it is mentally constructed, intentionally cultivated, so it's impermanent, and it's going to disappear because of that. So you understand the nature of impermanence. Now, since such mental states are impermanent, other mental states are impermanent too. Even lust, even raga is impermanent, so we're letting it go. Step 15, cessation of suffering. So here is where, once you have let go of lust, that's the key defilement, and then suffering also disappears with it, at least momentarily. And then the last stage, we understand, at least momentarily, all those defilements have been cleared away. Okay, so these are the 16 stages of the breath meditation. This diagram is also found in the Anapanasati Sutta translation in SD 7.13, table 4.2. Okay. ST 44.9, it is table 3.2. Okay? So let's look at the sutta now, so we have a good idea on the Buddha's own meditation when he went into solitary retreat. The discourse at Icchā naṅgala has 54.11. At one time the Blessed One was staying at the Icchā naṅgala forest, outside Icchā naṅgala. Then the Blessed One addressed the monks thus: Bhikshus, I would like to spend 3 months in solitary retreat. No one is to approach me except the one who brings the almsfood. Right, so this is how even today monks would do solitary, and they would stay alone in a certain place, and in a quiet place, and then only one person will bring food to them. So here we see the Buddha beginning to go into retreat, so he's announcing it. So this is before the rain retreat starts. Then the monks replied, Yes, Bhante. The monks replied to the Blessed One in essence. Indeed, here no one approached the Blessed One except the one who brings the almsfood. So here the narrator is telling us what happened. Then at the end of the 3 months, the Blessed One, having emerged from the solitary retreat, addressed the monks. So here we see time passes, okay? So we have to have an idea when it is, okay? So the Buddha says he's going to retreat, and he leaves. Now he has come out of the retreat, and this is where he gives teachings to the assembled monks. Bhikshus, if wanderers of other sects were to question you thus, how also does the recluse Gotama mostly spend the rain's retreat? When you are asked thus, Bhikshus, you should reply to those wanderers of other sects thus: the Blessed One mostly spends the rain's retreat in the samadhi of the mindfulness of the in and out breathing. So this is a special term here. It is anapanasati samadhi. Okay? So in other words, this is when we use breath meditation to attain a level of dhyana. Here, bhikshus, okay, now the Buddha explains how he does it, his practice. Here, bhikshus, I mindfully breathe in, mindfully breathe out. This sentence is very interesting. If you look at the footnote, right? So this is where the footnotes are very valuable. Okay, it tells us a lot of things. It informs us about why this sentence is significant, it's unique even. Now, the Pali sentence reads like this: Idahang bhikkhave. Okay, here the Buddha say, here I satto asasami, satto pasasami. So the word satto means mindfully. If you look at the Anapanasati Sutta, this line is slightly different. A small little particle is at the eva. Eva is a stress word, indeed, or even, only, and so on, depends on the context. So in the Anapanasati Sutta, the line will read Satto wa asami pasamiti. Okay? So here the eva or word, the stress word is missing. Why? Because the Buddha does it very easily, very peacefully, very naturally. He doesn't have to make any effort as it were. Alright, so this is a very interesting difference, just one little word. So it shows that the Buddha, well, he's the expert, he's the fully awakened teacher, so he does his meditation very easily. He simply breathes in, breathes out. Breathing in long, I know, I breathe in long. Here again, we should note that in all these instructions, the practice aspect is given in the first person. If you look at the Pali, Digang asasisamiti. Digang asasisamiti. Okay? That means you say to yourself, now this is today we call it a concept of labeling. Now in Pali, digang asasamiti is quite short in that sense, but in English we translate it as I breathe in long. Okay? And that is the grammatical version, but in actual practice meditation we try to make it as short as possible. So you can say I breathe in long, or breathing in long, or simply long breath, something like that. Make it as short as possible. Okay? So here, because these are instructive texts, so the kind of the language is more full and complete. So let me read that first stage again. Breathing in long, I know I breathe in long. Or breathing out long, I know I breathe out long. Or breathing in short, I know I breathe in short. Or breathing out short, I know breathing out short. Right? So these are the instructions. So we have to understand that the instructions tend to be like regimented, but in practice they are more flexible. Sometimes your breath are long, sometimes short, so you mindfully label and note them accordingly. Stage 3, experiencing the whole body of breath. I know I breathe in. Experiencing the whole body of breath. I know I breathe out. Calming the whole bodily formation of breathing. I know I breathe in. Calming the bodily formation of breath. I know I breathe out. Now what's interesting here again, you notice section 3 and 4. Now this is the first Tathagata, contemplation of the body. In the Anapanasati Sutta, again, the word there is I train myself, or you should train yourself. Sikkati. But here, the Buddha is already awakened, he doesn't have to train himself, so he only says, I know this, I know what's happening. So here again you see there's a slight difference in the syntax and the wording. Now you want to know more details on what each of these lines mean. There are lots of interesting details here. Please read the translation of the Anapanasati Sutta in the Majjhima Nikaya. And then you have the next section, contemplation of feelings. Experiencing zest or joy. I know I breathe in. Experiencing zest, I know I breathe out. Right? So in other words, breathing in, full of zest, breathing out, full of zest. So you've got to imagine the experience in the words. Experiencing happiness, I know I breathe in. Experiencing happiness, I breathe out. So zest is this kind of a more exuberant kind of joy, happiness kind of calm. If you like, you can say it's like as if the zest is more like a kind of almost physical joy, whereas happiness is more of a mental, peaceful joy. Experiencing mental formation, I know I breathe in. This time, in other words, the breath becomes more of a thought than an actual physical sensation. Experiencing mental formation, I breathe out. Calming mental formation, I know I breathe in. Calming mental formation, I know I breathe out. So this is where the breath becomes more and more calm, very peaceful, until you don't seem to notice it anymore. And that's when you go to the next stage, contemplation of mind, beginning with section 9. Okay. Experiencing the mind, I know I breathe in. Experiencing the mind, I know I breathe out. So what kind of mind is it? So peaceful, so spacious, so bright. Okay. Gladdening the mind, I know I breathe in. Gladdening the mind, I know I breathe out. So the mind is joyful on the deeper level. Concentrating or stilling the mind, I breathe in. Concentrating or stilling the mind, I breathe out. Freeing the mind, I know I breathe in. Freeing the mind, I know I breathe out. So here it's very subtle. Okay? Very subtle knowing. The mind becomes more and more free of the mental hindrances. And then dhyana is attained. Then you stay as long as you like in dhyana, enjoying it, and then you come out of it. And then when you're ready, you go into the contemplation of dharmas, beginning with section 8. In this book's number 10, it should be corrected to 8. In other section 13 to 16, brackets 13 to 16. Contemplating on impermanence, I know I breathe in, right? So you breathe in, say impermanent. Contemplating on impermanence, I know I breathe out. Out breath, impermanence. Section 14, contemplating on fading away of lust. Here brackets of lust is added in to help you. I know I breathe in. Contemplating on fading away of lust, I know I breathe out. So breathe in, you know lust is gone. Breathe out, you know lust is gone. 15. Contemplating on cessation. Here the information is applied to you of suffering, cessation of suffering. The Sutta just mentioned cessation. I know I breathe in. Contemplating on cessation. I know I breathe out. Because at that moment it's so joyful, there's no suffering. And the last stage, contemplating on letting go. Totally, all defilements are gone. Momentarily, at least for us. I know I breathe in. Contemplating on letting go. I know I breathe out. And then the practice is finished.
Yeah. This last section of contemplation on the Dharma, this one is already come out from the meditation, right? The Buddha, and then
yes.
Still doing breath meditation from what?
Now this one you come out from.
Here, contemplating on impermanence.
Come out from.
I know I breathe in.
Yeah. We come out of the jhana. But jhana, you do nothing. You just feel very blissful. Then when you come out, your mind is still focused. Okay.
So it's still
regarded as breath meditation.
It's
right?
still mindful of the breath, but
Yes.
it's not doing the meditation as what we know.
It is. It is.
It is
You
also part of
you
the
still
meditation.
watch the breath in, out. It's a very, very calm, very focused state. In other words, okay. Imagine the whole thing as a single practice. You're sitting there very calmly, because it's not an intellectual exercise. It is done with meditation, so it's part of your breath meditation. Breathing in is impermanent, breathing out impermanent, like that. Okay? So the Buddha finishes teaching there. Then he goes on. This time he talks about, he praises this breath meditation. If one speaking rightly, bhikshus, were to speak of the noble abode, or the perfect abode, or the Tathagata's abode, one would be speaking rightly of the concentration of the mindfulness of the in and out breathing as the noble abode, the perfect abode, the Tathagata's abode. So here in other words, the Buddha is saying this kind of breath meditation, meaning this breath meditation which has just been shown, going into jhana and then coming out and contemplating if you like the vipassana aspect, impermanence and so on. This is called ariya vihāra, noble abode. Well, I suppose another meaning is this is the abode of the noble saints, the ariyas, beginning with the Buddha, of course. And it is also the brahma vihāra. Here, what's interesting here, brahma vihāra is used in a different sense, not in the normal four positive emotions. Here, brahma translated, we have to translate, or which we can translate as perfect, the perfect abode, because this is the state of mind, the meditation that the Buddha likes to do. Indeed, the third name is the Tathagata vihāra. This is the meditation, universal, popular with the Buddhas. bhikshus, those monks who are learners, who have not attained their goal and those not become arahats yet, who dwell aspiring to the supreme security from bondage. Supreme security from bondage, of course, is nirvana. For them, the concentration of mindfulness of the in and out breathing, when cultivated, often developed, brings about the destruction of influxes. Right? So here the Buddha is saying, if you're not awakened yet, you're not arahats yet, this is the meditation that will help you. If you do it consistently, persistently, it will bring you to arahathood. And then those who are arahats, what about those who are arahats? How do they practice this? And bhikshus, those who are arahats, whose influxes have been destroyed, the holy life lived, done what is to be done, the burden laid down, reached their own goal, fully destroyed the fetters of existence, of right knowledge, liberated. For them, the concentration of the mindfulness of the in and out breathing, when cultivated, often developed, brings about comfortable dwelling here and now, and also mindfulness and full awareness. So here, in other words, are two benefits, you might say for two reasons. The arahats, including the Buddha, go on doing their breath meditation, leading to dhyana. It gives them comfort right now. They live in comfort, in other words. So even when they are sick, they feel comfortable mentally. This is a wonderful hint to tell us that if you regularly meditate, if you're in the habit of practicing mindfulness, you will find this inner peace. That's the meaning there. And then this practice of mindfulness also brings mindfulness and full awareness, sati, sampajanya. So this is the twin aspect of mindfulness. In other words, the mindfulness is the kind of memory, knowing what's going on before us. Sampajanya is the ability to relate all this to everything that we know. In other words, it's just like, let's say, you're driving a car, so your mindfulness is your hands on the wheel, you know, all those gadgets and instruments, and your feet on the brakes. So all those, you know where they are, you know what to do. And then sampajanya is you're aware in front of you, you're looking where you're going, and you know what to do, slow down, or you can speed up, right? So they work together in that way. Mindfulness and full awareness. If one, then the sutta concludes, if one speaking rightly, bhikshus were to speak of the noble abode, of the perfect abode, or the tathāgata's abode, one would be speaking rightly of the concentration of the mindfulness of the in and out breathing as the noble abode, the perfect abode, or the tathāgata's abode. And the sutta ends there. So there you are. This is to remind us of the simplicity and the effectiveness and the historical importance of breath meditation. The Buddha himself used it even as a child of 7, attained first dhyana, and later giving up his self-mortification, he used breath meditation and attained awakening on Vesak morning. So this is something to remember and to respect and to practice by way of the supreme worship of the Buddha. Meaning, the best way to worship, to honor the Buddha, is to practice his teachings, and one of his key teachings is the practice of breath meditation. So this is one sutta which helps us to understand it, the Icchā naṅgala sutta, with which you should read the Anapanasati sutta in the Majjhima Nikaya. So with that we end this study, and let us do a short reflection. Once again we are reminded of the presence and availability of the Dharma. We only need to look into the suttas or inquire the good monks who are practitioners, who are meditators, on how to do breath meditation, and to do it ourselves. If we can't do it long, just do it for a short while. At least we know some basic steps, how the breath can bring us some sense of peace. The right time we go on to practice in a more sustained way and enjoy deeper bliss, and with that to direct our mind to growing wisdom, reflecting in these ways wonderful good karma. By the power of such karma, may we aspire to attain spiritual liberation, at least stream winning, in this life itself. And also, for all the good deeds we have done, may we be well and happy in this life itself. May we be inspired by the Dhamma and be happily filled with good energy to teach the Dhamma and be a good example to others. And in this moment of peace also, let us send out our loving kindness to all those who are teaching the Dhamma, practicing the Dhamma. May our loved ones be well and happy, even those whom the Dhamma have not touched. May they quickly see the Dhamma for themselves and be transformed into good people. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.